Yes, people. What's going on? Welcome back to Saeed TV, and we are here for another video. And you know what? An unusual video. I didn't expect this morning to come out. Mason Greenwood update. The latest. Laura Whitwell has made a report on the Athletic, talking about basically the backstory of Mason Greenwood. Not necessarily anything on the case because, as you know, no, Man United are making their own internal investigation as to what they do, with Mason Greenwood and whether if they do end up, allowing him back into the squad, or if they do end up, you know, taking him away from the Scots. By that means selling him. By that means, terminate his contract. We don't know yet. There's a lot of legalities involved in this. So Man United are buying their time. Man United have actually rejected two offers from, I believe, one Chinese club and one Turkish club. So, Man United are not going to mess about on this one and not, take their due diligence, not, take their appropriate action in terms of what they need to do. At this minute, it's not for sale. There's no feeling right now that they're concentrating on football. Everything is off the field, and you know what? Off the field, there's been a lot about Mason Greenwood, and I'm just looking at the story and I'm thinking, damn, during the lockdown, um, police travelled to Carrington to ask the club to check Mason Greenwood, who repeatedly broke the rules by breaking curfew or hosting parties. And by the way, just to kind of let you know, it's not only just him. There were several players involved in this. At the time, I believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was manager, and there's a bit about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on this report. But yeah, man, listen, it weren't a kind of a good time for Mason Greenwood. This is when he was obviously coming into the first team, breaking in and scoring goals. But behind that, you know what I mean, there was a ill temperament about Mason Greenwood, a lack of discipline off the pitch, and this is what you're gonna get with young players, man. The influence that you have with other people around you, you know what I mean. Is you have to have a strong, friendship group. If you don't have players with you that are telling you, yo, listen, you got training, or listen, you've got a now lifestyle that you've got to maintain. You've got a public perception of you now. You're going to be in the public eye. For you to be messing around and speed. Apparently, they were doing like, you know, chasing, driving the car late at night, speeding up on roads, and obviously hosting parties. Obviously, a lot of people were breaking them rules, but Mason Greenwood was involved in that, and again, it just shows you the kind of situation that he was in. You know what I mean? Not the best surroundings. Sometimes when you have it all at a young age, you know what I mean. It's how you deal with that will determine what kind of football career you're gonna have. You only got to look at Dele Alli. The partying that he was doing. The situation with him in terms of the lack of discipline on the football pitch. Jose Mourinho, you all saw that interview. What happened with him over there? If you take your eye off the football and you start focusing on other things, man, it's not going to end well, man. It's not going to end well. You know what I mean? You've only got a 10-year football career, 10, 15 years max. If you're Modric, that is, and whatnot, you know what I mean? You can then have that longevity, but that comes through discipline. But this is a major kind of almost. We needed to hear this because it kind of almost, and again, obviously, it doesn't kind of equate to what he done or what he supposedly did and whatnot. You know what I mean? This is a situation of his backstory and Mason Greenwood that we won't know. And journalists like Laura Whitwell will have sources around the football club, will have sources who maybe come forward and give information. And to be fair, there is a bit on the article that does say that a source has said that Greenwood would run through a brick wall to be back playing with for Manchester United Football Club. It doesn't surprise me, this, if I'm being honest with you, because at the end of the day, he will believe in his head that he is guilty. And obviously, by the court of law, he was found, not guilty. Well, it wasn't really found not guilty, but they didn't find enough evidence to suggest that, and the case was dropped. So for us fans, we won't ever know if he's guilty or not guilty. Everyone will have their conscious mind as to what you think of Mason Greenwood, but in the court of law, Mason Greenwood, and Manchester United right now have a difficult decision to make. What do they do now? How do they follow up this process? How do they look at this situation and be like, you know what? He's not been found guilty, or there's not been a situation where he's been determined as guilty. What do we do now? How do we internally sort this out? You've got the new owners coming in. The new owners will have their perception of things. You've got the hierarchy at Man United who will then advise the new owners as to what to do. You've got the manager involved as well. Does he want to bring him back? We don't know yet. He's now leaving it to the team to do. But of course, Mason Greenwood would love to come back. He wants to play football. He's a footballer in the end of the day. You know what I mean? And anything that happens off the field is a situation that will be dealt off the field. But as a footballer, he wants to play, but it's not going to be easy as that, mate. It's not going to be easy as that. You can't just roll into this Man United team with what's happened. You can't just be like, yeah, all of a sudden switch of a finger and be like, you know what? Yeah, I could go play football. It's not going to happen, mate. There has to be a process involved. You're going to have to win the fans back. Do fans want to see you playing football back? That for me there is a sticky one. I've always said, for me, I think there's more negatives than positives bringing Mason Greenwood back. Whatever you think about, oh yeah, but he's a talented footballer. I just don't think it's right to bring Mason Greenwood back to this football club. And I've said it many times. I don't shy away from it. I don't think it'll be a comfortable atmosphere. I don't think, you know what I mean? It depends on whether you sit on this. If you've believed that you would be comfortable having Mason Greenwood playing as a footballer, that's entirely up to you, and that's your opinion. I'm not here to dispute that. What I am here to say is that, would Ten Hag want this conflict? Do we need this conflict now? Now that Man United are slowly on the mend, that's the situation with that. The representative says Mason Greenwood is 21, so he references his age. He has been cleared and should be allowed the opportunity to rebuild and move forward with his young life. Again, this might be at another club, but is it at Man United? That's the question you've got to ask yourself. I don't know who this guy is. Obviously, it says a representative. I don't know if it's his agent. I don't know if it's his lawyers. I don't know who that is, but rebuild and move forward with his young life. It's easy for you to say it, but what about the family? What about their family? You know what I mean? It's not as if it's, you could just quickly all of a sudden move on. You know what I mean? This is a very, 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 very delicate situation, a very sensitive topic. We've seen the footage, we've seen the evidence, not necessarily that has been proven to be guilty, but you can see it with your own eyes. You know what I mean? It's not rocket science as to what you've seen and the voice recordings of what's happened. What's allegedly happening, and you can see it there. You're like, yeah, the evidence is stacked against you. But to move on, for me, when you look at the crowd and when you look at the people involved and the fans, is he going to be easy forgiven? Is it as easy as scoring a goal and it's all forgiven? I don't think it is. People say it is. I get it. People say fans are fickle. I understand that part. But with this situation here, I'm not sure it is, man. I really am not sure it is. And this is another thing as well. It says here some members of the women's football team would take major issue in Mason Green returning. Like I said, people, you know what I mean? It's not only Manchester United men's team. We have a women's team, and you have to give, you have to put them into the situation as well. It's whether you like it or not, you know what I mean? Men and women play football. It's as simple as that. So you have to understand that, and whether they would feel comfortable with that, you know what I mean, and whatnot, you have to put them into perspective and whatnot. So that, again, for me, overall, that's why I say the negatives outweigh the positive. Any positive you can think of, the negatives outweigh it. It says here in the report, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has shielded Mason Greenwood in press conferences and dismissed reports he had twice been late for training. But Greenwood's attendance and character in general was a concern. More than one staff member has had trouble establishing exact whereabouts. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, what's according to the report, has been shielding Mason Greenwood. Again, I'm not going to come in here and start slating Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He might have had his own reasons as to why he did that. That's, again, we don't know what sort of perspective he had. It's easy to kind of look at this and think, you know what, and bash Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but we don't know. He could have done it so that, he wanted to keep everything in-house. It's only when you hear about it now, you kind of be like, why did you mention that? But at the time, there must have been something going on. You don't know what was happening. Maybe internally they find him that we never knew about. You know, internally maybe there was conversations, but um, it's not a good look. You know, when you look at this, his footballing off the life wasn't great, man. As a young player, man, sometimes when players have everything too soon, this is what happens, man. Honestly, man, you know, you give a player a certain contract, you give a player a certain whatever, and they don't work hard for it, and they don't, you know, have that feeling of, you know what, it's a blessing to be a Man United player. And you should be striving every day. And Ronaldo did talk about it, whether you like Ronaldo or not. And this is one of the things he was talking about. Some of the young players in there, their attitude wasn't good. They weren't training hard enough. They were leaving before he was. So, you know, these are the kind of situations where you got to understand is it's not a good look, man. It really, really isn't, man. So it's the backstory for me is something that we needed to hear, because I feel like, you know, it gives us an extensive feel as to what was happening behind the scenes with Mason Greenwood at Old Trafford, and especially behind the scenes. So just overall, Man United have rejected 2 offers. They right now is not for sale. They're keeping on their internal matters. We have to just wait and see, people. This is again an ongoing process, especially with the new ownership coming in right now. Is it a priority as to what Man United are doing? We don't know yet. Mason Greenwood obviously will be putting out feelers out there, leaks to say, right, hold on a minute, what's going on? I want to play. Am I allowed to come back into training legally? You know what I mean? He's still a Man United player. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a tough one. It's a really, really tough one. And again, another sensitive subject. So you have to be careful the way you kind of read into it and you kind of analyze everything. But I hope I've given you my opinion, and you leave your comments below as well. Let me know what you think. Should he still play for Man United? If that's your opinion, that's your opinion. But yeah, guys, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Peace.